To a normal human being, this is freaking whack. This is weird, but you also lose your sex drive. It's not a healthy sport. You really don't compete for just that 1% of the time where you are finally glowed up and actually feeling good. Next year, we will be a new and better version of me, CZ Fit 2.0. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, CZ.fit here, and I hope you're doing well. So, in today's episode 7, 5, 6, 7, I think it's episode 7. Anyways, in today's vlog, let's talk about competing, like should you compete, the pros and cons, and the kind of raw, honest truth about competing and going through prep and what it really takes. Because I feel like on social media, you post all the highlights and you post all the good things because social media is a highlight reel, but also it's just natural for us to want to share the good news. And it's like, you know, none of us want to be on our social medias talking about all the shit that we have to go through. It's just, I think it's just like negative energy, right? Like you don't really talk about it and you don't really want to be spreading that stuff. So I thought it would actually be really important if I just kind of sat down and talked to you guys about what it actually is like doing a comp prep, like what you don't see and what 90% of it really is, because I've gotten a lot of messages and comments from girls being like, you've inspired me to do a bikini prep, and like that is awesome and that's amazing. But I think a lot of people think they want to do it without actually knowing the raw, honest truth about what goes on behind the scenes. I just want to do a really informative sit down chit chat about this topic. But before we get started, it is currently 7 a.m, almost 7 a.m, and I'm just gonna go head to the gym. I am having a rest day today, but I do really need to get my posing done. I just need to go practice because posing is something that I do struggle with more. I'm just naturally not a very flowy person. I'm very kind of mechanical with how I move. So I do find it very hard to look, you know, like graceful and to strut around in heels and to even just look like really confident standing there. So it's something that I do really need to work on. So I'm just gonna go head to the gym. Hopefully the studio is free, and ideally I don't really want to be posing with someone else in the room because again, I get really shy and it's something I have to work with and I have to work at just getting used to it. Like last prep, I remember it took me so long just to get used to posing in that open area because people were working out around me, and I finally got into the mentality where I was like, hey Ching Yang, like just put your headphones on and just don't care about anyone around you, like whatever. But I think because I haven't done this for a while now, I'm just getting like, I'm still back in that like stage 1 where I'm like, oh, this is really intimidating. And even in this room, like there's a massive glass window so people can see me when they walk past, and that makes me really intimidated. But I'm gonna have to go and get it done anyways. I will catch you guys when I'm over there. Also, oh my gosh, how rude, Chen Yang. I forgot to mention, guys, make sure you like this video and subscribe if you're new here and hit the bell button so you're notified every time I make a post. And now I'm ready to go to the gym. Okay, so an hour of posing has been done. I've kind of tweaked up my routine from last season. I just felt like I just wanted to bring something slightly different this year. And I just really like the kind of sassy look where you kind of take a step back and then whip your hair. But it is a bit harder because when I first started practicing this, I kept falling over. Like every time I whipped my hair, I would completely lose balance and just fall. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know if I want to risk that on stage when I'm nervous compared to last year where it was like less spinning, less kind of whipping my hair, and just a bit more like playing on the safe side. So we'll see, like I've got what, like 14 weeks, I'm still 14 weeks out, so I have a while just to keep practicing. And I've been practicing my posing pretty much every day. I try to have at least like 10 to 15 minutes after each workout, but sometimes that's not possible because I have work and I'm literally just like running back home before my first call. But when I do have the time, I do try to get some posing in, just because one, it builds up your confidence when you continue doing a routine over and over again, and two, my feet really cramp up now. So again, it's just about getting used to the heels again, moving in the heels, getting my back like to be able to arch again, because my flexibility has completely gone since my show last year. So yeah, that's a little update. I'm just gonna head home now. I'm gonna get some more steps in. I'm on 4,000 steps already just from doing posing. But yeah, I'm gonna get some more steps in, grab a coffee, have my first meal. It's a rest day, so I try to push my meals slightly further back just so I'm not hungry towards the end of the day. But yeah, let's head home. Okay, alright, so let's have our chit chat, guys, about competing. I think it's really important that we address pretty much what 99% of competing and prep actually is made up of. On social media, we post our, you know, bikini stage photos, we post the glow up, the post-show food, and all of that. And sometimes it is very easy to just think that that's all competing is, right? You go on a little diet, you do your training, some steps, some cardio, and then boom, you put on a tan, you put on some like sparkly bikinis, get in your heels, and you go on stage and just walk around. But there is so much behind it that I feel like people don't really realize. Unless you are a competitor yourself, you don't really understand what actually fully goes on. So I thought I'd just quickly kind of summarize a few different aspects, just so that if you were ever curious or thinking about competing yourself, that you know what you're getting yourself into, and you can kind of see whether it's right or not for you before you actually go and invest into, say, a coach and into a show. Because prep and shows are actually very expensive themselves too. If you want me to cover that, I can in another video. But firstly, let's start off with food. So what you see on social media of what people post in their like 4 days of eating, you probably don't realize actually how little food can get, and usually it's always, again, the highlights. So if someone gets a refeed or their coach increases their food for the weekend because, you know, they've leaned down enough and they've been pretty much starving enough, or their body is just not reacting anymore, they get a refeed and their carbs increase. And because we get so excited about them, we post it all over social media. So that's probably what you see, and you're like, oh my gosh, amazing, like she can have 2 full bowls of oats, like that's crazy, and she's on prep, like I want to do that. But the thing is, you don't see like the hunger that someone goes through. Like you don't see the nights where we literally wake up out of hunger. Like towards the end of prep, you are literally like, your sleep is completely just thrown out the window because you were just lying there hungry. In terms of food and nutrition wise, obviously you either can stick to a meal plan or have macros, which is more like flexible dieting, so you have more variety, you can choose what you're eating. But for most competitors, they will be on a meal plan just because it gives a lot more consistency. Your coach knows exactly what you are eating, and then they know exactly how your body is responding to the foods that they are giving, and it's just a lot easier to control in terms of variables. So personally, I am on a meal plan, so I will talk about what it is like to compete with a meal plan. But I would say the same thing for macros. Like you still don't have that much variety. Like you can have a lot of variety, yes, but in terms of eating smart, like if you are not on that many calories, I wouldn't be trying to fit in like all these different chocolates, like I don't know, like Easter eggs and like, you know, chips and whatever, lollies, because firstly, they're not going to offer you that much nutritional content. Especially when you are on low foods, you want to be choosing foods that are going to give you all the like as many vitamins and like minerals as you need and all the good stuff, rather than opting for like processed foods when your body already doesn't have much food and like proper nutrition to fuel itself on. But yeah, so let's talk about a meal plan. So when you are on prep, let's say that's probably around 18 to 20, over 20 weeks of dieting. If you're on a meal plan, you are sticking to that meal plan. Obviously you can have some like variations in terms of, say, your proteins. You could have like chicken or the same amount for beef or something, but again, like you can't be having whatever the F you want. And then in terms of the meal plan, you are literally sticking to that meal plan. So it doesn't mean like, oh, I was slightly hungrier today, so I'm gonna add like 10 more grams of vegetables. Like no, if your vegetables that your coach has given you is 100 grams, you have 100 grams. Like you're not eating more because you feel a little bit more peckish. Like you will be hungry, you just have to suck it up. And then, for example, say with your coffee, you know, small things like that, where if you're a lifestyle client, maybe it doesn't matter as much. But if you're on prep, just because you want a dash of almond milk in your black coffee does not mean you can have that. Like, black coffee is black coffee. You are not adding a dash of almond milk or even soy milk or whatever milk you want to your coffee. Like, this is comp prep, right? And so that's like 18 to over 20 weeks. And so one aspect is obviously sticking to the meal plan, and then the second is what happens when people invite you out for food or they offer you something. Your grandma's made your favorite cake, your friend has baked a cookie for you, someone has given you a, I don't know, chocolate Easter egg as a gift. You're not having that. Like, you simply cannot. You are on prep. That's another aspect that you need to take into consideration. So when your friends do say invite you out for food or drinks, yeah, you can go with them. Like, I wouldn't say stop going out to these social occasions, because it is important to still see your friends when you can do so and you still have the energy to do so. But it just means that you can't actually be eating or ordering the food with them. Like, you can probably bring a meal prep if the restaurant is kind enough to allow you to eat your own foods at the restaurant, or you'll just have to eat it before or after your social event. Now, personally, I completely don't care about this, because I go to these social occasions, whether that's brunch or dinner, for my friends, and I go to spend time with people rather than for the food. But I know, like, in our culture and, like, you know, how people kind of socialize and interact, food and drinks is a big thing. You know, you create memories over food and drinks and all of that, and that's something that you're just going to have to suck up and be like, you know what, I actually can't. And you do just have to be that person who has to say no to even just like tasting something. Like, someone could be like, just take one bite out of my cookie, or like literally one bite, but you can't. Like, you physically cannot. You can smell it, but you are not eating it. You're not putting it in your mouth. So with these things in mind, if you already have a suboptimal approach / relationship with food, if you have restrictive behaviors, if you have ever had like binging behaviors or anything that is considered like disorderly eating, I would really just make sure you have that completely handled before you even start thinking about comp prep. Because even for those who have never suffered from any sort of disordered eating, they will most likely, like most people, will find themselves developing disorderly eating after this show, because prep can be a lot easier for most people, because you have that tunnel vision of you have to be on stage at this stage, right? You have your coach there, you have to be on stage at that date looking pretty decent, or else you're paid, you know, for your show and everything, and you're gonna step on stage fat. Like, obviously that is not an option. But the hardest part is actually post-show, because you lose that tunnel vision, you lose that tangible date in mind, and suddenly you're like, actually, I don't have to stick to chicken, broccoli, and rice, if you're lucky to have rice, a optimal amount of rice on your meal plan. You honestly forget how to eat like a normal human being, because you've dieted and restricted and starved yourself for over 18 weeks, and suddenly it's like all of that is gone, and you're given the freedom to essentially have foods that, you know, you want to enjoy, whether that's a pizza or a cookie. And because your body has not had stuff like that in months, you end up kind of going crazy. And once your show is over, you obviously do have to start eating more, but it's so hard to let that increase of food be gradual and controlled, where you know what you're putting in your mouth. Because for most people, again, like, you lose that ability to really understand what your body needs. You don't really know how to listen to your body, how to even intuitively eat. Like, that is just not a thing for most people. So you end up just kind of eating everything in sight, because again, it's like your body's survival mechanism being like, I can finally eat and fuel myself. I am starving. Obviously my health is all over the place, my hormones are all over the place, so you end up just eating whatever is in sight, and it doesn't make you feel very good, because essentially your digestion is also completely messed up after show. Because again, you've been eating the same bland foods, like no oils, not much sugar, not much in your meal plan that your body would react to for, say, like over 20 weeks. So then when you start wanting to indulge in the foods that you couldn't have, for example pizza that usually is quite oily, cookies with a lot of sugar or dairy, your body has no idea how to respond to that, and you end up being very inflamed, you end up very puffy, you retain a lot of water, and you just don't feel great. But at the same time, whilst you don't feel great physically, you still are kind of starving internally, and mentally you still just want to eat all of those foods that you know you're not going to feel great afterwards from, but you just can't control yourself. Personally, I did really struggle with this for the first few weeks after my show. I would even say like a good 2 months afterwards, where I was even hungrier than on prep. Like during prep, after a while you get used to it, and because you have that tunnel vision of that goal, nothing else really matters. Like, you know that you just have to be hungry, and you kind of get used to it and you just don't feel it anymore. Like personally, I just got used to it. Like that constant state of hunger was just the norm. But then after your show, where you feel like you shouldn't be hungry anymore and you're still hungry, that's when it's like the most challenging, because no matter how much you eat, physically maybe I wasn't hungry and my stomach was full and bloated, but mentally I was still starving. And no matter how much I ate, like with my off-plan meals, I would literally be having probably over 4,000 calories at once. I was still hungry, and like I knew that physically I shouldn't be, because my stomach was completely bloated. Like I literally looked pregnant, but mentally I just wanted more food, and it was something that I really struggled with. That is just, you know, some more insight on what you probably need to know before going into, you know, competing or the post show. Just understanding that these challenges may come so that you know how to best prepare for it. One thing that I would say that I'm glad I didn't do was stock up on all the foods that I have been craving, because again, if you buy it, you're going to eat it. And if it's post show, you may tell yourself before your last show that, oh, I'm gonna have it spread out, like I'm just gonna buy it now and then spread it out. But that's not going to happen. Like if it's sitting in your cupboard, you're most likely going to go through it within the first week, just because you mentally are not sane after your show. Now, in addition to post show, a little further down the line, you are going to be, you know, in your off season, where you're making improvements, you're building muscle, you're making sure that you're putting yourself in the best position to compete again if you are wanting to be competitive in the sport. And what that means is, yes, you get to eat a lot of food. And again, I think we've really highlighted on social media, like, oh my god, look how much I can eat, like look at all the fun foods I'm having now. But you don't understand how it actually feels to be stuffing yourself full, where you literally cannot eat anymore, but you're still force feeding because you have to hit those calories, and you know that that's going to put yourself in the best position to compete again, to prep again, to really build up your metabolism, to be able to be at such a high food that you can just cut off a little bit and you'll see yourself start, you know, the dieting stage again. And yes, like food is amazing and all that, but after a while, once you force feed for a while, you no longer see food as something that's like, oh my gosh, yay. Like you don't really enjoy food as much, because you are literally just stuffing yourself in every meal, that it becomes almost sickly, and you pretty much are bloated 24/7 because your stomach really can't handle how much food you have in you. And like personally, I am quite a small person. Like I am 5'4", pretty small built. I do have, I guess, like a relatively good fast metabolism, just because I have been weight training for a while. I do carry a lot more muscle, but even the amount I was eating, like at my peak, it was like around 3,600. I honestly was bloated 24/7, and I love eating. Like don't get me wrong, I am such a foodie and I still enjoy my foods, but it got to a point where I wasn't really looking forward to the foods. Like I would still eat it, but I was so bloated. I would go to bed with a massive stomach, wake up with my stomach just being bloated. Like I just felt so like ugh. But then again, that's part of it, like and I'm not here complaining, because I genuinely love the mental kind of challenge that it brings, because you're doing everything that your body doesn't want to do. Like you are pretty much just listen to your body away. Like it's full, but you're still feeding it during off season. It's starving and you're still depriving it during prep, which sounds so screwed up, but the sport kind of is like that. So yeah, I hope that this gives you a better idea of both, I guess, like prep and off season, and what it really takes to be competitive. And now, alongside like pushing food and reducing food, naturally we would see our bodies change. And this is something else that I want to highlight. Like body dysmorphia is such a big challenge that a lot of competitors face. If you are already struggling with your body image, if you are attached to scale or are too attached to how you look, please don't compete. Because when you compete, you don't compete to essentially try to look better or try to feel better about yourself. That's not the point of competing. Like honestly, I would say when you start dieting down towards stage leanness, you don't look very good. You look fragile, you look pretty sickly. It's not a great look. So definitely do not compete with the idea of, I will finally be able to reach my goal weight or to look good, because that is not the point of competing. And if you compete for that reason, you are setting yourself up for failure, and you are setting yourself up to be even more mentally just drained and unhappy with yourself at the end. Because once you finish your show, you're going to have to slowly increase your food, and you're going to have to see the scale increase. You're going to have to put on body fat because it's not healthy to be at that much of a lean state. And even for people who don't really attach themselves to how they look or to the scale, it is hard to see your body suddenly change, because what was the normal kind of body fat on you before you even started competing suddenly becomes this like very scary look on you. Like you completely forget what you used to look like as a normal human being, and you get so used to how you look lean, and you get so used to seeing your veins popping, all your striations and everything, that when you stop seeing them, you almost feel like you've gone completely out of control and you put on too much body fat, when realistically everyone else around you is like, you finally look healthy, or you're finally close to looking healthy, but to you, you feel like you look obese. And that is just part of the process. Again, it's just the kind of mental challenge that you have to face and that you go through if you do a comp prep. And I'm not saying that like everyone goes through this, but I know that for the majority of people, this is something that we do struggle with. Okay, so now that we've pretty much touched on food and body image and all of that, let's talk about training. A lot of people want to compete because they love training, and they're like, what's the next stage up? Maybe I should compete. So with training, when you are on comp prep or even just competing, training is not just going to the gym and just moving some weights, getting your workout done and then leaving. It means having your head in the game 100%, being there fully mentally and physically. Every training session you have to show up and you have to push yourself. Even when your body is so fatigued that climbing up the stairs or even just walking to grab groceries becomes difficult, you still have to go to the gym ready to put your all in and get that leg press up, get that hip thrust up, and really make sure you give your all to each session, because every rep and every set is going to show on stage, and you have to know that yourself, so that when you go to the gym, it's almost like kind of stressful, because you're like, I really need to perform well, but I am mentally and physically so tired. And then alongside that, prep is not just a bit more cardio here and there, hitting some steps. Like when I say you cannot miss any steps or any like cardio sessions, I literally mean if you have been given, let's say, 30 minutes of cardio, that literally means 30 minutes. It doesn't mean 29 minutes and 55 seconds, 29 minutes and 58 seconds. It literally means 30 minutes every day that you have been given cardio, whether that's post-workout or, you know, fasted. It doesn't matter, you are getting it done. In terms of steps, if you are given 13, 14k steps, 15, it means hitting them daily, not on days where you were lucky enough to get 15. It means you get them done on a daily basis, and even on those days where you are super knackered and you just want to go to bed and it's what, 11 p.m. and you've realized that, oh my gosh, you haven't finished your steps, you're getting up and you're getting them done. Even if that's just next to your bed and doing steps, you have to get them done. So again, it's like, it's a very extreme sport, and it means like when you have to tick these things off, you have to tick them off. Like there are no excuses and no reasons big enough as to why you couldn't get your steps or your cardio done that day. Moving on from training wise, for females, most of us will lose our menstrual cycles. Your body literally does not have the energy to continue any other function that it does not necessarily need to survive. Obviously this is going to be different for different females. I know some girls who still have their periods 5 to 6 weeks out from their show. Personally, I lose mine the first 3 weeks of prepping or just being in a small deficit. That's just my body. Like it really does not cope well with weight loss whatsoever. Even if that was just like lifestyle dieting, I will lose my period immediately. That is something I actually do want to work on after this show. I will really dedicate a proper off season, a good year or two, just to get my period back to normal, my hormones back to normal. With competing, you don't do it for health reasons because it's not a healthy sport. So please have that in consideration when you do think about competing. Like just understand that it's not good for your health mentally or physically, and you're not doing it for those reasons. Now alongside that, so you lose your period, obviously that's going to have a lot of different hormonal implications, but you also lose your sex drive. I think, again, not many people talk about it, but you literally, like, you feel nothing. You barely even have the energy to do anything other than get your training done, your steps, your cardio. The shower becomes freaking hard sometimes. Like taking a bath towards the end of prep is draining. So you can imagine that sex is pretty much like non-existent, and it's just not something you would even think about because you just don't have the energy, or and your hormones just are not in place for you to even be
mentally or physically there. And then it does take several months usually after your show to kind of balance out your hormones, to get them working properly again. So again, that's something that I want you guys to understand and know, that this is the raw truth behind comp prep and what people, like a lot of girls, go through that we don't really talk about, because again, it's like, it's not pretty. So you're not going to blast all over social media like, hey girls, I lost my period. So we'd much more likely post like, hey guys, I have a refeed, I feel great, another PB hit, this is amazing, look at my new shoes, look at my bikini. Like, obviously, you know, that's just human nature, but I just want you guys to know the, you know, I guess the dark side of things as well. Now again, I just really want to say, like, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to throw you away from competing or to tell you not to compete, because honestly, I love it. This sport has taught me so much discipline. It has brought me the most amazing people in my life. I don't know where I would be without it. I just wanted to be honest with you guys, and I just wanted to say, like, if you are up for that mental challenge, that physical challenge, and you are aware of all these things, then go for it. But I really do think it's important that you do understand what it takes before you decide to compete. Finally, the last thing I want to quickly touch on is your social life, and even your love life, your relationships, your time with your family and your loved ones. That's going to be impacted when you prep. You do have to sacrifice quite a few things for prep. Now, I wouldn't really say it's a sacrifice because obviously you choose to prep, but it is a sacrifice in the fact that you do have to give up time for those events and those occasions, and, you know, I guess creating those sort of memories and experiences with the people you love when you start prep, because you don't have the energy, you don't have the time. You have to prioritize yourself. It is a very selfish sport, especially when it comes down to prep, and you just have to be able to understand that that's part of it too. Your ability to attend social events will be impacted because you need to prioritize your training, you need to prioritize your steps, your cardio, you know, your meal prep and all that. Your rest and recovery is so important. Your sleep is already trash during prep. You simply cannot risk going to a social event, staying out later, and not having that set structure and routine of when your bedtime is, because if you have bad sleep, it's going to impact your weight, your stress, your recovery, your performance at the gym. Like, it will affect you a lot because your body is already in such a fatigued state that any kind of impact on any of these factors is really going to make you feel it. Like, you will feel the repercussions of not having a good night's sleep. And what I mean by a good night's sleep on prep is probably just like, what, like 10 minutes extra. Like, honestly, you would be surprised just how poor sleep can get during prep. And again, that's something that we don't really talk about because there's no need to be blasting all that stuff on social media. Like, you know, alongside that, you can't really plan for spontaneous events and catch-ups with your friends because, again, you have your life in such a structured routine, and it kind of needs to be that way during prep to really make sure that you can get through it in, you know, flying colors and all that, and make it as smooth as possible. That, you know, if your friends want to go away for the summer, it's kind of hard unless you have your gym there and you have all your meal prep and everything ready to go, and that you can just kind of pack up your life and everything you need to go travel with them. But even then, you don't have the energy to really travel and sightsee, so it's like you kind of do end up sacrificing those things. And then your dating life is probably going to be non-existent. If you aren't seeing someone, then don't expect to be seeing anyone in the future until after your prep and probably the first few months of your post show is over, because during prep, again, unless you find someone who also is in that like 1% of the population who understands or who bodybuilds and competes, they're not really going to understand why you have no sex drive, why you don't even like seem attracted to them, why you have no energy, why you have to make sure you get all your training, cardio and steps done, why you're so like fixated on measuring every gram of food every day. Like, everything you put in your mouth, you are measuring. They won't understand that, and that's completely normal, because to a normal human being, this is freaking whack. Like, this is weird, you know. But that's something that you have to take into account for. Like, not many people, even your friends or family, will really understand what you're doing apart from you and your coach and say people who do compete. Like, you have to be fine with the fact that people won't understand, and some people will probably judge you. Like, some of your friends probably will be like, can't you just like chillax for one night, or can't you just have a day off, can't you just miss some steps, like is it really that much of a big deal? And you just have to tell them, yeah, it is. Like, you won't understand, but I have to stick to my plan. And it's not just a 12-week diet, like it is probably 18 to over 20 weeks, and I have to stick to this. So yeah, whilst you see all the glow of stage day and post-show food, you really don't compete for just that 1% of the time where you are finally, like, you know, glowed up and actually feeling good. You compete for really that 99% of the time where you are just challenging yourself every day, mentally and physically, doing everything your body pretty much doesn't want you to do. But that is kind of the beauty, I guess, of bodybuilding. Like, it really is a tough sport, and that's why I love it. I really hope that this gave you a better insight into what comp prep is, and the fact that you really don't do it for that 1% on stage, because you are only on stage for like 2-3 minutes. Your show day is just one day, and like half of the day you are at your hotel, and then the other half you get spray tan, you go on stage, you leave, and that's it. Like over 20 weeks of dieting for that one day. So yeah, you really don't do it for just that one day, but you do it for the whole experience, to really challenge yourself. You do it because I guess you love the process, and that comes with anything, right? That was kind of a quick summary. There's a lot of other things involved in comp prep, but I think these were the main aspects. Hey guys, so back now. I'm just going through all the exercise videos I filmed last weekend for my app that is launching very soon. I'm not going to say the launch date just yet, but it is coming very soon. And basically I had to go and just film all the exercises that will be featured in the app, exercises that I think, you know, work well for all different kind of experience levels. And it's quite draining actually filming these exercises, because it's like, yeah, maybe you only do like 1 to 2 sets, but it's like, imagine doing like 100 different exercises in 2 sets of each. Like, it is quite draining. It just makes me so excited, like seeing my own branding come to life, seeing my own idea, everything that I've kind of envisioned just slowly come together. And actually, I'll just quickly give you guys a sneak peek. So these are just some of the folders I have now. So all the exercises, I've just kind of like grouped them by your muscle group. So if we were to go into back, for example, I haven't uploaded all of them just yet, but the few that I have here, I just need to go and edit them so that they are like, basically they are vertical with no sound on them. So we go to cable face pulls, all the sound's been extracted, so it's nice and quiet. And then I just need to film some voiceovers for that as well. How do I pause that? Yeah. And then if we go into, these are the unedited videos, so and me walking in and out of it, so we just need to edit all of that out. But yeah, exciting times. Here is my tea for all of you guys that did not ask to see my tea. Hey guys, so I've just gotten changed into my baggy t-shirt slash PJs because it's just comfier than like my work clothes. And I'm still just going through all the exercise videos and just editing them. I've just posted on Instagram as I usually, oh my gosh, wait, it's 6:39. My YouTube's up. Basically, I just posted on Instagram a reel that I made about fat loss and like myths. And I just realized that my YouTube video is up, so I need to quickly go promote that. I'm losing my mind. Let me just quickly like screen record this. This is the behind the scenes. If you guys haven't watched this one yet, this is episode 4, so go check it out. This is what the journey sounds like. It sounds like a tour. Screen record done, and I'm gonna put that onto my story. 20 minutes later, I have posted on my story, and it's gonna happen to this vlog as well. It's probably just been spammed on my Instagram. So hi, if you've just seen my Instagram story and you're here, thank you for swiping up. Anyways, I'm gonna go and make my next meal now, which is my sausages and my veggies and my bagel, which will be one of my last meals as well. Do you guys ever, like, before a check-in day, just try to make sure that your meals aren't too late? Like, I have a check-in tomorrow because tomorrow's Friday, and every time, like every night before my check-in, I'm like, let's just make sure I eat at an appropriate time so that I can fully digest, and so I can wake up tomorrow and hopefully my weight will just be dropping. Because you know when you eat too late and you go to bed and you have check-ins next morning and your weight stays the same or increases, and you're like, but coach, it's because I ate way too late and there's way more food in my stomach and I drank way too much water before bed. Like, come on, let's just yeah, that's kind of what goes through my head. And I think you can probably relate if you have a coach and you do check-ins, that the night before check-ins you're like,
gotta make sure that you know, everything's on point. Anyways, I'm gonna go and make my food. I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining in on this vlog. Again, I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you for just like putting up with me and me looking homeless. No, but like thank you so much for putting up with my random spontaneous vlogs and my rambling. I hope you guys have a fabulous day or night wherever you are in the world. And we are now 14 weeks out, and to some that may feel and sound very long, but to me I'm like 14 weeks is only like 3 and a bit months. Yeah, which I feel like is going to fly by so quickly. And I think I felt this way last prep as well, until it hit like 9 weeks. That's when I was like, so close but so far. And I remember I was counting down the days, the amount of leg workouts I had left, because I just had nothing in me left. And I was like, oh, only 57 more leg workouts, like only 50 more 7 days of me just like being anxious before my leg workout, because I put so much pressure on myself to perform well in each workout that it stresses me out. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for joining in on this vlog, and if you did enjoy it, please make sure to, you know what to do, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Share this on your Instagram if you are still here, so that I can thank you for still being here. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next vlog. So the next vlog, I will be taking you to my first bikini fitting. Comment below if you can guess, or if you have an idea what you think my next bikini color will be. The person who does guess it most correctly will get a shout out on my Instagram. So all my next vlogs, just leave your name in the comment too. But yeah, other than that, see you guys very soon. Bye.